Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are going to be talking about Dimension Duel and a conversation that started after this image was posted on the official COD Discord, along with a suggestion that was made. And I'm going to give you my thoughts along the way. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up, because that was a lot. So, what the heck has been going on? Well, Dimension Duel, effectively, for I think what a lot of us thought, was this ability to where you would 1v1 the march and you get taken to a separate space that doesn't affect the current space. Or if the 1v1 is happening within the current space, then your troop and the person you're 1v1ing are transparent, right? You can move through them. And then once the 1v1 is done, they come back up, right? Or basically they become tangible, right? And so the challenge based on the screenshot, which I think is very eloquently depictive of what's happening, is effectively is that you can do a 1v1 with Dimension Duel at a choke point, as long as I would have to imagine it has to be thin enough, such as i.e. a bridge or a thin valley. And it can stop all the units that are coming through it. Now, the immediate thing that comes to mind for me, if I was to ask the question, which I think is probably the most important question, is can this be chained? Can you do this back-to-back effectively long enough if people are dedicated and coordinated enough to just block you the entire time, right? Now, I think the answer is pretty much a resounding yes. This could happen. Is it likely to happen, though? And are enough people likely to do it? I don't think we're seeing this as some kind of mass application at the moment where it's being affected across many KvKs. But I think the worry is that if this is something that does become more prominent, if more and more people use this, how does that affect people on the receiving end? And I have to think about it from this perspective, is that you're in a KvK. The whole idea is you're trying to fight as much as possible. Obviously with some asterisks there. In a situation like this, albeit at extreme, you are being denied and or delayed in your PvP venturing. And for some people, they come on, they just want to go and fight. Now, it doesn't always mean that fights will always be happening when someone comes on and they're ready to fight. But with something like this, it's almost blatantly obvious that they are either stalling the fight or just, hey, just nothing's happening because we're doing this, right? So you're effectively stopped at that point until it's broken through or the chain breaks. And if I'm a player, if I was a player and I really wanted to go out there and fight, and it was just like, let's just say there was no way to do anything about this, they could just keep going for hours and hours on end, that would be annoying. That'd be a turnoff. And you'll see here in a moment, right, from some feedback that some people have provided, some have felt that way. And like I said, I just kind of look at this as like, what's the worst case? Because I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with Dimension Duel for the feature as far as testing it. And I've always been a big proponent of saying, okay, well, if you guys want to test things out in seasons and you want to do like a great example, you look at long range warfare, that was tested as a seasonal policy once upon a time ago. And then it didn't run the next season. And so, or I should say for the new map / season. And at that point, it was like, okay, hey, we tried this out in a season. We collected the feedback. Did people like it? Did they not? Did they gravitate towards it? Again, I'm okay with that. And then you can assess and kind of make your decision going forward if you want to keep including it, refine it, or remove it. And so now let's read through some text. Let's read through some chat. So someone's saying, this is sick. Need to fix this ASAP. Lol, this is a toxic skill. We should create a suggestion about this. I think after this, it's solid proof. It was a very smart play, but let's be real. This is a shiitake mechanic. Someone's saying, I don't want to deal with that bullshitake in zone 2. Someone asked Jason if you were to suggest. I did not. Should, in my opinion, one guy shouldn't be able to block an entire alliance. I think this one really stands out to me. not working as intended. Yeah. And I think the idea behind a skill like this is I'm sure they had good intentions behind it, but maybe it wasn't tested on some of the most important areas. And to me, these are things where sometimes having a test server to do these things, or better yet, asking people to maybe test it, right? Maybe you bring in the top fighters and you say, hey, we'd love for you guys to test out some of these features in a mock war and just let us know what you think. We'll give you access to them early or something, like a day early, so you can read up on them, maybe do some play testing, and then we can see how it plays out on like a test server. Again, there are multiple ways to do that. I think the challenge sometimes is discerning between, well, do we just put this live and then see what happens and hope for the best? Or do we put this on a test server? Do we do some trial and error testing before it goes live? And I think more often than not, if not probably always, we're usually seeing these things just go live. Now, maybe the dev team has a test server that they can do these things on, but you're probably not going to stress test it as much as the player base would, especially those that fight often. And so that would just be kind of my one thing is, could we see value in testing some of these things out on the test server or a test server as an example, compared to just going direct to live? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, next we have, it's supposed to be another dimension. Freeze is working as intended. Duel is not. Pocket dimension, but can intercept troops. What effing pocket is that? Duel can be hour if you use G1N versus G1 to 3N. Exactly. So I thought it was 5 minutes max. It is. And then I came in at this point and I said it is. It's a dimension that is visible within the current dimension because it is technically. 5 minutes becomes 1,000 when you have 200 people using it. Yeah. Visible. And so visible and physically interactable should be kept separate. And again, I effortlessly agree here. I just think it's funny that wasn't the case and or wasn't thought of, at least as it pertains to how this could be used. Now, maybe the dev team didn't consider that this could be used at what we consider to be hard choke points, such as a bridge, a thin valley, maybe a thin road going somewhere, right, where it isn't wide enough, where you consider that a little bit more of a soft because you can't fully block it out, as one example, right? I believe TFS had like an hour bridge stuck. That was what someone was saying. Again, I don't know what the exact time was. I think someone said an hour. Someone said 10 to 20 minutes. I actually thought it would take 2 marches off the map while they duel to put them in some temporary space. Disappointed it works this way. This is effing disgusting. Yeah, and then I came in, I said, if it can be chained back-to-back with back-to-back activations and players time it out correctly, might as well go on a vacation at that point. Because, I mean, look, and then someone had posted this league thing on the other dimension, just make it a 1v1 and you can walk through. Yeah, I think that's an easy solve, is you do it as a 1v1 where it can't be affected and people can just walk through them, as we stated earlier. Duel means duel, so they can keep fighting each other while we move forward. Yeah, and I think that's an easy solution. If that is something that can be provided, I think that's the easy fix there. My worry is more so about what happens, because somebody had mentioned that right here. So Widow says customer service said it will be fixed in the next update, but it's customer service. So my whole thing is that's great to hear. But what happens when when more and more passes open or more and more statue fights occur, and this is being used up until the next update? And what's to say that it doesn't get used more from now until the next update? Hopefully it doesn't, of course. But that, I feel like, can just add more stress onto the alliances, the kingdoms, and the players fighting when you get put into, because, I mean, let's be real. If there is a will, there will be a way. People will find things out, and some people will choose to use them, and some people will opt out to using them. But this is something that I hope doesn't get exacerbated to a point where it's being used in multiple KvKs, multiple people are using it, and we're just kind of being denied fights, right? It was kind of like the whole turret thing that happened where, again, some KvKs, I know at least of one right now, as it specifically pertains to the G2 group, has agreed to not use keeps, so, excuse me, bastions, right? Sorry, did I say turrets? Bastions. They've opted to not use bastions in the KvK, right? Where I think they're doing something like each person has to build their bastion in zone 1, share cords with everyone else so they know it's there. And I thought that was an OG baller move by that group, because clearly the majority of the players and their management teams feel that bastions are just impeding. So what? They make a decision because they can control it. And so they decided to do that. And now they don't have to worry about it. Like, just easy fix from the players. And again, I just look at this situation and I wonder, is it going to be something that hopefully doesn't put a sour taste in any of the spenders' mouths, the people that are really out there fighting a lot? Because you just don't want to see situations that can cause people to feel demotivated and uninterested in what's happening because of something like that, to go out there and fight and participate. I'd love to hear what you guys think on this one. There was a suggestion as well, I think, that Abda had posted on 6:15 p.m., which again, you can see it was on the 27th. So yesterday, right? Says remove intercepting once dimensional duel is used. That means you can indefinitely hold an alliance at a bridge or choke point by rotating in duels. Very dumb. Not supposed to be the game. Fix ASAP. Again, I think this is. I'll upvote this because I think this is something that, like I said, it's not saying remove it entirely, but the intercepting function of just allowing for people to kind of pass through it, right? I think that is a nice fix. Now, like I said, I don't think this is something you're probably going to be using for the most part in open, like you're not going to see everyone in the alliance equip this maybe in the open field. But I do think that at least when it comes to hard choke points, it can really be utilized, we'll just say, well, based on what you're doing and what your intentions are. But that's it. That's it for us. I'd love to know what you guys think on this. Again, do you think that's the simple fix? Is it worse than you think? Is it not that big of a deal? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. That's it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.